You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Alright, welcome back, everyone. It's your friends at Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Good to see you. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
We are zooming at you.
Light
as
speed,
usual.
baby.
Yep. How many episodes have we done via Zoom?
Too many.
Way too many.
Yeah.
I think we've done more Zoom than other ones, right?
Like, it took us so long to get our audio good.
Yeah, it's really...
It took us 100 episodes.
Throw it away.
And now the audio is just garbage again.
Yeah, I hate
That's
it.
why the content is so important. The sparkling content will trump this terrible audio.
Right when you think you get it all figured out, and then world-ending
devastating crisis,
pandemic strikes, and just right through the heart.
Well, we hope you're sticking with us despite any audio glitches. If you want to see the video, it's $1 a month. Patrons can see the video feed of these Zoom calls a little bit early. Oh, you're waving. Okay, I saw your... never mind.
I was waving at them.
Yes, hello, patrons. Welcome. You get access to a secret Facebook page. You get to vote in polls. You get personal attention. You get some junk bonds.
Yeah.
I made a junk bond. We said we wanted people to have a stake in Ka-Pow that is just as worthless as one of the 90s Marvel's junk bonds, and I made it happen. So that's on there on the Patreon page.
That's what Jordan's doing all day.
Yeah.
It took a little longer than I thought, I will admit. I was getting angry because the thing, like, I'm trying to move the image and it won't size correctly. I'm like, this should not be taking me this long.
Welcome to my world.
But I do it for you, patrons.
Hey, speaking of the Patreon page, if you pay that $1 a month, you might get an invite to a special secret trivia.
An event. Yes, we have an event.
And you can Zoom with us too.
Yeah.
Zoom pop culture trivia with the KPPP patrons.
Well, yeah, we should be lording that over people because that's pretty spicy.
Yeah, the last time we did it, I thought I had that thought too, because I did better than I usually do, which will probably never happen again.
I'm already scared to death of doing it again. Like, I need like an hour to contemplate each question.
Do you sit at home listening to us thinking, these guys are idiots and don't have any clue what they're talking about? I know more about pop culture than them.
Probably.
Well, become a patron and you can prove it.
Right.
Yeah, you can come on here and easily prove it.
With numerically, like
yes, you'll be able to say, look, I am this number better than those guys.
Shoot.
Hey, let's talk about some games.
Challenge your imagination to come alive and to battle with the creatures of Dungeons and Dragons.
52!
You shot my battleship.
I got a bingo! What do I win?
It's Operation the Wacky Doctor's game where you're the Wacky Doctor. Batteries not included.
I blew it! My turn.
Shall we play a game?
So, I played some games. I bought a board game, first off. I bought a Back to the Future board game. Which... Was
this something you find in stores, or was this something you had to...
I'm sure it isn't...
Or what?
No, I just bought it on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
But it's made by Funko, which I, if I was playing Never Have I Ever, one of the first things I'd say is own a Funko Pop. Would you guys have to drink?
I would.
Yes, you would Jordan's gonna grab a Funko Pop.
I have I have one.
Yes, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a Baker Mayfield.
Has it got a mustache? Is it a Pete Brady?
He's got like the kind of like the scruffy beard going on. Got the headband and everything. But that is not the only one that's in my home.
Okay, what's that one?
That
Crikey.
Yeah.
Oh, crikey. Is that your only one?
That's my only one. I got it for Christmas this year.
Ah.
And I very much like it. I'm not a fan of the Funko, but the Steve Irwin holding the little crocodile.
So you each only have one, and that's impressive. But I know the sickness with these is that there's so many. Well, if you get this one, well, if I've got that, I want this other one. Come on. I have this, but I don't have that.
And there are store exclusives you can only find certain places, and chase variants, and
So I've just been I don't ever even want one. No, thank you. But they made a board game, and a few years ago, Riot Games, which is a video game company, they make a video game called League of Legends. And they made a board game. They decided to get into the biz and make one called Mechs and Minions. And it was a huge hit that year. And they made one of the most high-quality board games, beating out, actual people that do this for a living. They packed just an ergonomically, perfect box. How everything was packed in there. Everything was super high quality. It was pretty amazing. And it was
I believe we talked about that one time.
I think we did.
Because we thought you were talking about Mexican Minions.
Yeah.
Yes, Mexican Minions. Yes, we had a whole thing. Yes, that's good. Anyway, but well done. Good call. I would buy a Funko Pop of a Mexican Minion. Look for that soon. Anyway, so Funko basically pulled off the same thing here. They aren't a board game company, but they made. Oh, are you gonna share us a picture of Hey, there's a picture of that game I'm talking about.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Back to the Future, Back in Time. You have to be very specific about the title. It's Back to the Future, Back in Time. So if you're looking for the game, that's the one. There are multiple Back to the Future board games out there. This is the good one.
Now it comes with pieces where you are a character, and the pieces look very generic for a Funko branded thing. Like you think they would do a little better in the representation.
Some people paint the miniatures, but they are different, at least different color molds or whatever. They are the pieces that I feel like they could have painted the miniatures.
Are you some people?
No, I never paint miniatures. I do not paint miniatures. I pay people to paint miniatures. Or I buy pre-painted miniatures is what I normally do.
That's what the Mexican Minions are doing.
That's right.
Factory all day.
That's right. I pay my Mexican Minions to paint my miniatures. Wow. Jordan.
We did it.
Anyway. They wouldn't get painted otherwise. So, this is a great it comes with a little DeLorean and everything. Basically, the game's only like less than $30, and they got to have $29 in it in the pieces. So, very high quality, and it's just a fun cooperative game. You can play as it's 2 to 4 players. Play as Marty, Doc Brown, Jennifer, and Einstein, which is a ridiculous other 2 people to play as. We did not use those. We just played 2-player cooperative. But everybody's got their own special powers and that you can do certain moves, and there's different cards you can go pick up, different things. Of course, Marty is better equipped to help his parents get together, and Doc Brown's trying to work on the DeLorean, but anybody can do anything, and if needed. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, and I think it's the best of the Back to the Future board games. I also played a video game, which was a big release this past month. It was The Last of Us Part 2.
I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different.
Ellie!
But they ain't.
Please stop.
This was a big one, so I've heard.
A lot of controversy about this game. Tons of controversy. Preempting its release.
But I saw people taking pictures of empty racks at like Walmart or someplace.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Saying, yeah, so controversial. All the people said they were going to boycott it or whatever. But like the game that's completely sold out everywhere.
We believe in
Right.
Jackson vulnerable.
So they just get to get away with this?
How'd you find us?
You can't stop this.
We've talked about before when we did our top 10 video games of all time. The part 1 of Last of Us was in my top 10, and this is very much a part 1 and part 2. Like part 1 always felt like it was unfinished. It had a great ending, a great famous ending that I won't spoil, but it always felt like there could be more. There needed to be more after that, and this does. Basically, I mean, heck, that was almost a decade ago that game came out, and this is just a great second part. This feels very much like a Godfather 2 to Godfather, and it was just as good to me. Those games would be in my top 10. I'd probably just put them together as a pick. You know, it's incredible. It's video games are grown up now, and it's kind of spoiled me for other video games. It got me excited, and I've been playing some other stuff since I finished that game, but they don't really compare. It's such a mature storyline. It's very dark. If you are not into sadness, then maybe don't play it. But
well, can I derail you there for a second?
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, this was a huge release. I was even seeing the hype for it, and I am not a gamer whatsoever. But I mentioned this to you earlier, Seth. There's an article on Polygon website, and I said an actual gamer might roll their eyes at this, and the concept's been beaten to death. But I had never heard of this or the long argument going on. But obviously, there's the our video games art argument that people have been having, and I think is a dumb argument because of course they are. This article was talking about there's a real lack of game criticism. There's a ton of game reviews. Should you buy this? Is it good? Score out of 10. There's a million reviews, but there's not that much criticism. There's not a lot of analysis of what's going on. And the quote was, "The Last of Us 2 punctuates one of the longest, strangest debates in video games, the 13-year discussion of ludonarrative dissonance." So if you're a real gamer, that phrase might make the hair on your neck stand up, but I'd never heard it. So apparently ludo is Latin for play, and narrative is the story. So this idea there's a disconnect between what players do in a game by playing it and the story the game's trying to tell. So this kind of all kicked off in 2007. Games like BioShock and Uncharted, games that were getting huge acclaim for being mature, like you were talking, and moving the industry forward and telling really complex stories. But at their core, we're still just murdering people. It's like we're trying to be really grown up and mature, but we're still a video game. There's only so much you can do to make a video game fun. and there was all this kind of debate back and forth of how do we move things forward.
Well,
and this article. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that I was actually going to point that out. That I don't know that I knew that that's what that was called. I was going to say this where video games have grown up, and this game has taken it to the furthest point we've come so far to say most video games in that genre are kill, kill, kill. You are going around killing things, and that's a lot of what the fun is in video games. People get to go do that without repercussions, and there's Call of Duty and all those things. But this is such a story-driven game, and what would happen basically is they're finally answering the questions. What would happen to characters what kind of game would have to match that amount of killing? What kind of story would have to surround that, and what kind of repercussions would that have on the characters in the game if they had to go around killing people?
That's kind of this guy's thesis. I'll skip ahead to his main point. Quote, "The Last of Us 2 has finally bridged the gap between story and action, dragging the story kicking and screaming to align with what you actually do in their games. Kill people. The result is surreal. An expensive narrative experiment depicting what would actually happen if a real human being behaved like a video game character." So I wondered if that was that seems to be your experience too. You seem to agree with this.
And now I don't know from what you read whether that's a positive for this guy or not, but it is for me. Like, it's such a mature story. I would love to have a discussion, totally spoilery sometime, because there's a lot to go into with this. But I don't feel like I can right now. But it really bugs me because there's so much to say about it. I think they say this is really like a 30-hour game, and everybody plays at a different pace. I played for 37 hours. Some people run through boards. Some people play every game they play. They just run past a lot of stuff, try to do as fast as they can. Especially in a game like this, I'm trying to get into what the character's story is. If it's not a story game, I really don't want to have a whole heck of a lot to do with it. I'm about the story. So that's why this is so high up on my list. And I go through the game at a realistic pace. First off, this game doesn't give you too much. You always see the meme about, I've got this special item now, and I will save it, and then now the game's over, and I never used that item. I always was saving it for something else. This game is so sparsely. Are you given ammunition? You may have several guns you're carrying or things, but you may only have 1 bullet for this one, 3 for this one, 2 for that. I mean, literally only a very handful of bullets or, ammunition for anything at any time. So you're constantly searching, and you're finding little bits of health or ammo, and you find all kinds of notes from people that have been where you were traveling before. And I read every note. I read because there's so much story involved in that. You're reading what these people did and you're maybe following their path, and you read everything that's happened to them and how it's evolved and what's happened, how they're dealing with things. And you're seeing like you're dealing with the same things, and it's so well done. But I played 20 hours of this game going at a leisurely pace. I was on vacation. This was what I took the vacation for, was to just play this video game and not feel rushed. And I played 20 hours, and then something happened that I was so not expecting. I was at the climax of the game. I'm playing a certain character, and I'm going to try to find and get revenge on another character. And it's all about revenge. It's totally giving you leeway to do all the killing that you're having to do because you have a reason. And I finally get to that climax and see that character, and the game turns on its head and becomes another thing that I don't want to spoil, but it blew me away. And suddenly I realized I was only halfway through the game. where I thought it was over. And it reminded me when I took my exam to be a medical lab scientist, I was told there was 100 questions. And so I went in there, and I hadn't thought much about that, but I had heard there was 100 questions. So I did that. When I got to 100, it didn't stop. And I had paced for that. And there ended up being 180 questions. And it was a very, very shocking moment when it kept going, and I realized how much more was left. That's how I felt playing this. Anyway, it is a very long game, a lot of story. It's so dark, but so worth it. If you liked the first Last of Us, and you're not... A lot of the problems, the controversy about this game is people don't like... a lot of people don't like LGBTQ characters. They feel like they don't like things getting stuffed down their throat. And I feel like it's pretty known in the first game that the Ellie, was a lesbian, and that goes on in this. And there's, other characters like that, and people just really, there's a lot of fallout to that. People do not like it. It's really, the internet is a cesspool. and so it's a lot of people, that's what they're complaining about. And representation, basically. And of course, that doesn't bother me. And these were very interesting characters in this game. So,
and you had said it's not part of the plot. It's not
so subtle.
It's not important whatsoever.
It's so subtle that I don't know what they're crying about. I don't know. Anyway, I thought the game was amazing. If anybody played it and wants to talk about it, on here, I'd love to talk about it. I'd really like to spoil the hell out of it. Because it had a lot of twists and turns, and was something I've never seen before. Man, I want to spoil it. How about, can we do this? Can we, at the end of this episode, take 5 minutes and just say what?
I will check the KPP bylaws and what our contracts say is feasible. Overtime rules. Sure. Yeah. Stick around to the very end if you.
Very end. I'll just give a brief thing. I won't totally spoil, but I'll give a brief thing of what happened halfway through.
Because we're responsible.
Right. So, what else is happening?
Is that all the gaming?
I think so.
Yeah.
I was going to say one other thing. This is just very tangentially to the Back in Time game. Speaking of some time travel, I am doing a little project here where over the last couple months I started only reading time travel based books, and I've amassed quite a few. I was kind of curious if anyone had any suggestions. Because at some point I'm going to say, okay, I've read all these, and here's the order I like them in, and kind of talk about them. Mm. But I didn't know if anybody had something out there that just random that I didn't know about. Because there's a ton out there.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. Maybe we'll do a post. I'll put a post up and say, hey, how about some time travel book suggestions? Because I've read quite a few now, and it's fun. I was like, why don't I like time travel, why don't I just only read that ever?
Doing something similar.
Oh, yeah?
But only about Bigfoot.
Only about Bigfoots?
Mm-hmm.
We don't really do a literary segment on this show, but I'll put it under movie because he's got a movie deal. I think I mentioned earlier Max Brooks' new book, the author of World War Z. He has this book called Devolution, a first-hand account of the Rainier Sasquatch Massacre. Amazon finally got it to me about a week after they were supposed to.
On your day?
On my well after my designated Amazon day. I really liked it. It was advertised as part survival narrative, part bloody horror tale, part scientific journey into the boundaries between truth and fiction. So there's an interview with Brooks. He said, quote, "I wanted to explore our over-reliance on technology without a backup plan." So that's sort of the idea. It's there's this sustainable eco community out in the Pacific Northwest near Mount Rainier that it's that all these rich hippies are going to move to this new model of living in a sustainable community, but it's way out in the woods. But hey, they get groceries delivered every week. There's drone services that bring you things. Everything's wired in. They got Wi-Fi. Everything's perfect. But so Mount Rainier erupts with this once in a millennium catastrophe, and they're cut off from the world. So yes, it's a story about Sasquatches murdering people like a horror story, but it's more about disaster preparedness, our modern comforts, how we're all fine until the lights go out, and then what happens and what becomes your priority after that. It started out as a movie project in 2012. He was going to do it as a film, and then it never quite got off the ground. So he got the rights back because he wanted to do it as a novel. So now that a novel has come out, hey, we need to make a movie out of this. So it's been picked up by Legendary Entertainment. Who knows if we'll actually see a film of it. But the audio book has a whole bunch of famous people in it. Judy Greer is the main character, because the book is basically a diary. This very neurotic, she has a lot of anxieties and having marriage problems, so her therapist told her to write out all her thoughts. So it's her kind of keeping this journal, and it's just like, wow, we're moving to this new place, and the further it goes, it becomes this survival tale. So yeah, Judy Greer is on the audiobook, Nathan Fillion, Jeff Daniels, Steven Weber. So if you like audiobooks, it seems like a pretty good look into that too.
Save Martha! Puny God.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
I'm Batman.
Kneel before Zod!
On the roof!
Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
Cool. Cliff and I watched a movie
about time travel. Sort of.
We did. Spoilers.
Yeah, so this was on Hulu?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Palm Springs. It's a Lonely Island movie starring Andy Samberg. And what is the
Kristen Milotti.
Okay. Pretty quick on the trigger with that one, weren't you?
Well, I had looked her up.
You said that kind of creepily, but
well, she's cute. Anyway. Yeah. I had heard that it was a, it's not, if you find out so early on, it doesn't matter, but right. But it is a Groundhog Day scenario with a new take on it.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a new twist to it that we haven't seen before. So anyway, it's not anything groundbreaking, but it is. I thought anyway that it was an absolutely delightful, pleasant movie to watch, and I loved both the main characters.
It was entertaining.
Yeah, I thought it was very good, and it's a very beautiful movie. I think there's a lot of different lighting used in it. I cannot think of the girl's name that was the cinematographer, but but she did an excellent job. There's a lot of neat shots in it, but I just thought it was good. The whole premise, basically, that Andy Samberg has went to his girlfriend is in a wedding and he's just her date. He goes and he just gets stuck on that day.
Yeah, so he relives it day after day after day, the same day.
Yeah. It's got J.K. Simmons in it also.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons. It's got a whole mess of CW show people.
It does. Yeah, it's got Superman marries Veronica.
Yeah, so Camila Mendez and Tyler, is it Hoechlin, I think?
He's kind of a Mexican Minions.
Oh yeah, and then Peter Gallagher.
Quinn Tran is the cinematographer.
Yes, yeah. She's I'm not going to say her husband because I'm sick of people pointing out. We don't need to hear about the guy. Quinn Tran is excellent cinematographer. I thought she did a really good job.
Yeah, and this has Peter Gallagher, Chris Pang is in it. Dale Dickey is the woman's name that I got.
You were saying that was.
I thought it was Darla from.
She looks similar.
Riverdale. Yeah,
she was in something else that was.
Oh, she's been in a million things. She was Justified, and
yeah.
She was. My Name is Earl. She was the daytime prostitute.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's got a good cast to it.
Yeah, it's good. It's a Groundhog Day movie, but they're delightful, and I like the story, and it's just a good time. If you have Hulu, come on, you're already paying for it,
right?
So we recommend that as a good sit.
I've watched so many movies on Amazon Prime, you guys.
Oh my!
Can you name them all in 5 minutes?
I can.
Okay.
Lighthouse. I think we talked about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-90s.
I saw that. Skateboard.
Jonah Hill directed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's a good little movie. Bone Tomahawk, finally.
Oh, yeah!
Kurt Russell Western.
Oh, it's got Patrick Wilson and Matthew Fox. That's a good movie.
Probably not everyone's cup of tea, but I really loved it.
Oh,
it was very long and slow. For a Western, it took its sweet time.
It was good.
I also really loved Logan Lucky.
Yeah.
Which I happened to watch. It was West Virginia Day. It was like the anniversary of the founding of West Virginia. I watched Logan Lucky.
Hell yeah.
This is the most West Virginian movie I've ever seen. That was fun. It was just a fun kind of heist movie, but without taking itself very seriously.
Adam Driver, yeah, good stuff.
I watched The Handmaiden on your recommendation.
You watched The Handmaiden?
On your recommendation, yes.
The series?
We're talking about the
Korean film, yes.
Oh.
Real.
Oh.
And I'm
You said it was one of the best movies on there, so I had to check it out. It was good. It was really good.
Great.
Very good.
I'm glad you liked it.
It seemed like I still haven't seen Parasite yet, but it seemed to have probably a similar vibe.
Yeah.
Class struggles.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Midsummer. Watch that one.
Christian says that you've got some special thing planned.
Yeah, it's like a crazy 9-day festival. It only happens every 90 years.
Hi. Hello. Theodore. You can't speak. You can't move. But this opens you up to the influence. And it breaks down your defenses. Trust me. All right?
summer, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, I liked just the whole thing, like that guy. It's a toxic masculinity, you know.
The thing of that one was it's Sweden, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go to so it's the horror film set in the daytime. So
right.
Like the minute you know it's a horror film, you kind of see everything that's going to happen. There's no real clever, it's dumb Americans going to get murdered, right? Like
right.
There's not a great twist to the plot. The difference in it is how it's done, how it's filmed, the dreamy quality of it all, how good the actors are. So there's a lot to like, but as if you're just like a horror fan who wants to see a good horror movie, I don't think I would recommend it for that.
Yeah, I think that it has a good message. Like I like the theme of it, and like you said, the actors are good. Florence Pugh is good in it. Just the crazy faces she makes and stuff. Just she just the whole her journey of being his like girlfriend, whatever. It's just he's just that subtle toxic masculinity. And just like these people are so welcoming, and
yeah.
And
like a mild spoiler, they talk about the ages. When you're 18, you leave. When you hit 36, and then they bring in the two old people. And the minute you see them, you're like, well, you know what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
And then it takes a half an hour, and they're standing up on a high cliff. You're like, yeah, we know what's going to happen. Oh my God, his face. Like I knew for half an hour they were going to die, and I still like recoiled when it happened. So yes, good work.
Well done.
Also watched Knives Out again, which we have talked about before. Terrific.
But wasn't it great the second time?
Yeah.
I mean, even better, I thought.
Like no holes in the logic, like at all.
Right.
Even knowing exactly what's going to happen.
That's how I felt. I was exhilarated watching it again because I was like, okay, now that I know everything, oh my gosh, it works even so much better. You see how good it works.
And the most recent one, I don't know if this one's kind of a love it or hate it. Under the Silver Lake.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because it was got such mixed reviews. That's
it was Andrew Garfield, Riley Keough, Topher Grace. It's from the director of It Follows, the horror movie that got such acclaim. And this one was just kind of odd. Like, if I'd seen this in college, probably, I could see loving it and rewatching it and trying to piece it all together because it's kind of a Shaggy Dog mystery story, a conspiracy theory story.
I heard it's got a little bit of that Inherent Vice feel, meandering.
It's that Los Angeles kind of, he's going to crack this case, but he's not in any hurry. He's not good at it. He's not a good person. He's doing it for the wrong reasons. Every female in the movie is kind of this, object of, being objectified, and just it's interesting, but it's very long. It's more than 2 hours, like 2 hours and a half maybe, and it doesn't go anywhere. Nothing really ties together, and I don't know, but there's enough there that's like I went to a Reddit thread where people are like, oh, if you see this clue and the hour, and you get so that it's made for people who want to do that to a movie, and I'm too old for that. I'm beyond doing that. I just want to watch a movie. So that's been my Amazon Prime haul so far.
All right, you timed that pretty good. Okay, so what else have we watched here? I watched The Five Bloods.
Black GI. Is it fair to serve more than the white Americans that sent you here? Nothing is more confused than to be ordered into a war to die without the faintest idea of what's going on. I dedicate this next record to the soul brothers of the 1st Infantry Divisions. Be safe.
Gentlemen, welcome back to Vietnam.
Look at that sound. Anyway, every man in all his glory. Who was that guy? That brother was the best damn soldier that ever lived.
On Netflix. Netflix, yeah. Was Spike Lee movie. It's like
Spike Lee joint, please.
Ah, what a poser! Can't believe. I love 25th Hour. It's my favorite Spike Lee, but he's a really good director. Like I mean, I know he's talked about, but he's not. Doesn't seem like he's not held up in that upper echelon very much, and I think he's very prolific. So this was really good.
It was on our list for a potential feature one job, so we'll get to him someday.
Right. It was really good. It had a cast. It was good. Oh, gosh, I can't remember the one guy's name, and I'm mad at myself. I'm gonna look it up. So just hold on a second. You can cut this out if you want.
You're not really gonna do that, are you, Cliff?
No.
Nope.
Last night, the kids wanted to watch a movie, so I was like, "Well, what do you guys want to watch?"
Defy Bloods? You watched Defy Bloods?
No. And
they were like Hamilton, Dad.
I thought that's what it was. I think I even made that joke. But they picked one of their favorite movies, which is The Bad News Bears. And I tried to get them to watch the original. I was like, well, we can watch.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant.
Yeah, no. I was like, we could watch the Walter Matthau original. We could watch the one where they play at the Houston Astrodome. We could watch the one where they go to Japan. Nope.
I'm sure that that's not problematic at all.
Probably not. No, I just assume it's not. But no, for the millionth time, they wanted to watch the 2005 Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah,
they turned the sweet spot.
That's their jam. Yeah. They love it. The kid that plays, or the guy that plays Barry Goldberg, I should have looked it up.
He's in that?
He is in that movie. He plays the Hooper character. He's in the wheelchair.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
that's fun.
That's one of our favorites.
Defy Bloods. Delroy Lindo. That's what I was trying to think of. He was really good. Basically, this is 4 African American vets from Vietnam return to Vietnam in present day to retrieve something that they left there. They're I won't go any further than that, but they other than they did a good job. It's well directed. I really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely worth watching. One thing neat that they did, Chadwick Boseman also plays a character that was in the war with them that died, and whenever they show him, he plays that character in flashbacks, but they'll also flashback, and they are all the old men. They play themselves back in the day, and he is young because that's how they remember him and everything. It's just, I think that wasn't the original intention I heard of what they were to do that. It was just like whether it was budgetary or whatever reason, but I liked it. I liked that they did it. Like, it's kind of neat. Delroy Lindo I'm predicting an Oscar because he was really good in this. Really good. He should get a nomination. Okay, let's dial it back. An Oscar nom. I could never predict who's actually going to win.
Right.
But he should get an Oscar nom for this, especially in this sparse landscape of movies that we have. But I thought that was excellent. And I also, for the first time ever, saw The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Very nice.
Was that even in our bracket that we did way back on the So Pro Scary Halloween episode? It was the first episode I was ever on.
We're back in single digits of episodes, so I'm not remembering too well.
I don't recall it being on there, and I had never seen it, so I wouldn't have voted for it anyway. But have you guys seen it?
Yeah, it's great.
And yet you've seen it, so which means if that's scary. If you've seen it prior to that, why were you not clamoring for it to be in this bracket, huh?
Well, we didn't make that bracket. We downloaded that bracket.
Oh, whatever.
Nice it was prefab.
I thought it was fantastic, and I would have, if I had to go back, I'd have pushed for that thing to win the whole bracket. I thought it was a really good movie. Man, the practical effects were incredible. I was so blown away by it. And Kurt $5 Bill Russell was in it. He's like, they're like, if you've never seen it, you should watch it. It's really good. Like everyone mistrusting each other, you know.
Kurt Russell's beard should have won an Oscar.
His hat would have beat it out in the final vote. It's the craziest, biggest 50-gallon hat I've ever seen in my life. I want one. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, the idea, an alien, they unearthed something from under the Arctic ice. There's this small little research station, and it can mimic humans. So then it becomes this really tense. You don't know who's been infected, who you can trust. But there's one surefire method.
Sounds familiar.
Flamethrowers.
Yeah, there's flamethrowers and dynamite and all, and just everything. It's got it all. It has a great opening to the movie with this wolf running across the snow, and you're just like, what's going on? There's a helicopter chasing after, and the guy's shooting at this wolf, and I'm just like, like, what is happening? It's so good. I heard that there was a prequel made. It always comes up because I've always wanted to record this and watch it if it ever came on TV. And the one that always comes up is a 2011 version. I want to say it was like Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, that had her as the main. I saw it, but it didn't stick with me, so it must not.
I think it's a prequel.
Okay, yeah.
And it ends the way this one began.
Yeah, okay, I do remember that.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was excellent. Excellent.
It ends with her handing that hat to Kurt Russell to put on.
Right. And he just it goes down over his whole body. And he has to grow a beard to get it off of him. Anyway, you definitely need to watch that movie. I also think. Nope. Okay, go ahead. Nope. Your thing. Yep. Go ahead.
I meant to. This happened in May. It was the 30th anniversary of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live-action film.
Okay.
So they did a 30th anniversary pizza party on YouTube, hosted by Judith Hoag, the original April O'Neil. So they brought back a whole bunch of people that were involved in this. It was actually World Turtle Day, so some of the funds went to turtle charities,
right,
and then the rest went to COVID first responders. So it wasn't live, but it premiered on YouTube. You were all supposed to watch it together as kind of a watch party thing. So they had a bunch of the guys who were the stuntmen in the suits, some of the voice actors. Elias Koteas showed up, not to the very end. Casey Jones. Kevin Clash, who played Splinter, who was famous for being Elmo. The guy who played Shredder was in it. We're just going to skip that part. Brian Henson was there talking about the creating the suits and the puppetry. One of the two members of Partners in Crime, the musical duo who did the TURTLE Power song, was on there to talk. And they talked and told some stories, and then they just started reading the script. They started acting out the script. I was like, I would watch this for 2 hours. I absolutely would. But they edited it down. It wasn't the full movie, but it was fun. It was interesting. It was, like I said, May. It was the May 23rd, the height of everyone staying home and having nothing to do. So lovely Judith Hoag saved one evening for us. We could all get together, make pizza, and watch this. And then they just released a short while ago a part 2, because Corey Feldman was not involved in the first one. So obviously the voice of Donatello, they brought him in, and the voice of Michelangelo, Robbie Rist. Neither of those guys were involved in the first one, so they had those two come on, tell some stories. And I did not know Robbie Rist is very famous as Cousin Oliver.
What?
The voice of Michelangelo in the original Turtles movie was Cousin Oliver.
Wow.
And that dude still has credit. He's on shows today doing voice stuff. He's a musician. He's done scores for things. This guy's successful
do it
Hollywood
all.
dude.
Does he still wear John Lennon glasses?
No, he looks a little bit like Guy Fieri. He's got like, crazy.
We always had like spaghetti hair or whatever.
Right, so he has gone like opposite of that, bowl cut looking thing. So.
I gotcha.
And they've talked about they're going to do some more of these. Anyone involved with this movie, they're going to keep doing some of these live streams and stuff. So it was fun. It was interesting, especially as a fan of that movie.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you. What happened? Cliff, your screen sharing again.
Yeah,
there he is.
Yeah. I mentioned to you guys there at some point. I was watching those very similar. I was watching those Reunited Apart, that YouTube series with Josh Gad, and they had done we had watched Splash, and then we watched the Splash one with Tom Hanks and the director Ron Opie Howard. Jeez. And then we watched the Ghostbusters one, and they were all so entertaining. I love when we get that back, that behind the scenes stories, and you get it from the director, the producers, the actors, everybody involved. It's great. And then Josh Gad's a really good host for that type of show, because he's such a fan. It's like Patton Oswalt doing something. So, if you like that type of thing.
Maybe it was a Back to the Future one. I've only watched 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, there's a Back to the Future one.
One of them. And maybe I just caught the wrong moments or something. I felt like he just seemed unprepared and was just being I mean, I get the fan part, but he was just wasn't coming with anything to keep it going. And then it just felt like they were okay, now it was dance for me, and okay, now say this line, and I say that line.
You remember that one part of the movie?
Remember he said that?
It was awesome. No, the Ghostbusters one is really good. It's really good too.
You get the hair for that, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I thought they were excellent, but I thought he did a good job of not trying of keeping it in the lane, but not trying to control the entire conversation.
Right.
So
I got you.
Yeah.
And it's content we never would have gotten because these people have nothing more pressing to do. So it's content. We're getting stuff we never would have seen before.
To get Tom Hanks to sit down in his living room with a laptop and a camera and talk about Splash with Daryl Hannah that he probably hasn't spoken to since he did Splash, and they're telling John Candy stories with Ron Howard. I really highly enjoyed it, but I will say this: watch the movie before you go and watch a series like that. So it helps a lot.
I would think so. Well, we always it's always a sad moment when we get ready to play this little game. Hit us with the good stuff.
Before we go any further, there's just one job. You say we think we need to keep forever. That'll never leave us. It'll make us so happy for the rest of our lives. We'll put it on their heads, going, raise the rest for our time. Will you love it? Will you love it forever? Do you need it? Will you never leave it? Will it make you so happy for the rest of your life? If we take one away that you enjoy what you love, you gotta know right now. Before we go any further, we pick one job, the rest they goodbye forever.
Then that's where we come back here. It's great.
I don't have it queued up.
Yeah, I know. That's where you put it in later, see. Anyway, kind of a couple people died, so we thought we'd do a one job. We do a doubler here. Trying to make it happy, but two people died.
Yeah.
So But
and we've left the patrons out because this was a last-minute audible, so we didn't have a vote on this. So sorry, patrons.
Yeah,
we'll get you on the next
super upset. You can yell at us later, but 2 people died, and we're going to get to this. We had Kelly Preston died. She was in several things. We'll go through her catalog here, but she had a battle with breast cancer the last couple of years and died this past week. And within the last month, Joel Schumacher died. Famous director. So we'll go through some of their stuff and see what we think should be their one job. So let's see. Did you guys anything pop out to you guys?
I'll admit, embarrassingly enough, when I saw the name Kelly Preston, I had a hard time even thinking of stuff she'd been in. It took a while for me to remember anything that she'd been in. So that just may be the things I haven't been exposed to very much. But maybe it'll spark my memory here.
Well, let's see. We had
the first thing I thought of, and I'm not going to promise this isn't my pick because it very well could be, was a Disney movie with Kurt Russell called Sky High.
Oh, yeah.
Where they played the parents, the superhero parents of the main character who was starting he was going off to superhero high school, basically. And that was a movie that Cooper watched a lot growing up when he was younger. It came out about that time for him, so we had a copy of it on, I think, VHS maybe. So
we can't change who he is, not without dropping him in a vat of toxic waste.
Where will we even find a vat of toxic?
Steve!
Yeah, I forgot she was in that. She was in famously Jerry Maguire. She was that's probably, I think that's probably her biggest movie role that I recall was her being in Jerry Maguire.
I don't remember her being in that.
She was. She
played the love interest?
Yeah.
No,
it was Renee Zellweger, but she was.
That's what I thought.
She was. I believe she was his girlfriend.
Oh, I thought she was the son.
Yeah, she's the one that knew how much a brain.
You know how
weighed.
much the human head weighs.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, I've seen a lot of that scene from one of her scenes from Jerry Maguire playing in the last week. She was in Cat in a Hat. I assume she was the mom. It says here. Cliff, you don't know?
I don't know the Cat in the Hat.
She was in Twins, I guess. I forget how few things people were in. Battlefield Earth, of course, she was married to John Travolta, so she was in things with him. Gotti, Old Dogs, everything he was in, she was in. For the Love of the Game, I want to say she was Kevin Costner's girlfriend, I believe in that. That was one of her bigger things. And I had just watched her a couple weeks ago. I made a post saying I finally found this movie from 91, I think it was, called Run with Patrick Dempsey. And she is the girl in that, that I guess the love interest, but it's a great movie of its time where Patrick Dempsey, gets in trouble with the mob basically and has everybody in the world after him. And he was very good. He was big in Can't Buy Me Love and Lover Boy or whatever was a big movie, but he was very agile and did a lot of stunts and things. So she was in that anyway.
I just had my mind blown.
What was she in?
Space Camp.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I had no idea
that
she played Tish.
How many pounds of breast does a shadow produce at liftoff? 6,981,400. How'd you know? How in the world she know all that? Not me. That Kevin is a real babe. He's a jerk. Oh, really? Mm-hmm.
He's completely unserious.
Did you check out the size of his hands? Earth to Catherine. Come in, please.
I had no idea who that actress was, and that was a movie I watched over and over and over again as a kid and loved that movie.
Yeah.
Leah Thompson, that Kate Capshaw, Joaquin Phoenix. Man, that's a great movie.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Keep going.
She was
There's
in
not
Chips.
much else. She was in Nothing to Lose, View from the Top, Citizen Ruth, Jack Frost.
Yeah, IMDb is her number one known for movie is Battlefield Earth on here.
Wow.
So that's
yikes. I think she played the newscaster in From Dusk Till Dawn.
I'm not getting anything here.
I don't have any strong feelings about Kelly Preston's greatest hit here. I'm sure we maybe missed something. Was she in like a TV show or anything
I mean, she was in an episode of Chips, an episode of Hawaii Five-0.
Chips.
Quincy. Riptide.
She must have did Riptide, an episode of Joey, maybe the Friends spinoff.
This is a fun game where we try to find if someone did anything. It'd be a lot more fun if Jen just died.
We're celebrating her entire catalog.
Okay, listen. Here's the deal. The movie I have the most attachment to is Run, but I'm going to forgo that and say let's all just induct Space Camp as her thing, because Cliff has the strongest feeling towards that, and it feels like a very Ka-Pow movie to put in there.
Was she one of the main characters in it?
Yes, she is in the. Yeah, it's NASA Space Camp, and there's a crew of misfits that get grouped together, and
a
robot becomes friends with the little boy Joaquin Phoenix and sends them into space in what is supposed to be they're doing they end up being the crew that gets to sit on the space shuttle as they run, like I think they're supposed to run checks.
And like John Travolta comes in crazy makeup and they have to fight him. And...
tentacle hair and
See, Leah Thompson's character was the pilot in training, and Kelly Preston was Tish.
Yes,
Tish. A ditz with a perfect memory.
What are you doing? I'm trying to figure out how to run this thing.
What, multi-axis trainer?
Mm-hmm. It's one of the toughest parts of the training. It's scary for a pilot. You know anything about it?
3 concentric circles spinning in different directions simultaneously. Object to stabilize from central point utilizing hand controls. You want a piece?
How'd you know all that?
I remember everything I read. It's a real drag sometimes. My mind gets totally cluttered.
I remember Leah Thompson, but I don't remember another character.
And what?
Got a perfect memory.
She did. That's right.
Isn't it ironic that I have no memory of?
No memory of that.
I was trying to remember what is that guy's name? He played Kevin Donaldson in
Tate Donovan.
Tate Donovan, yes. Tate Donovan was supposed to be the commander, and of course he was a goof off. Okay.
What a goof.
And he snuck into the group because he was after Leah Thompson, and he stole somebody else's name badge to get in that color group. And I remember the name on the badge was Fideo Takamine. Bam. Space Camp. We just did it.
Okay, let's move on before we embarrass ourselves any further.
I've probably told the story before. My brother Justin actually got to go to Space Camp.
Oh, we've heard.
And it was of that era where Space Camp was at its height because of this movie. And I thought there was a non-0% chance he could get launched into space, just from what I'd seen in the movie. So I wasn't sure about it, but he was
also Also a ditz with a perfect memory.
Remember everything I read. It's a real drag sometimes. What'd you get on your SATs? 800s.
So, Joel Schumacher. You guys have any instant strong feelings about him?
He's in our world. The first thing, he's a joke because of the Batman movies.
Right.
Stay cool, bird boy.
And how much everyone hated those, or at least, you know, at the time they were huge blockbusters. Yeah. But, you know, history has been pretty unkind to them. So
they're coming back around.
Yeah, the name Joel Schumacher in a comic book shop, I mean, that's the first and only thing people are talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I know my pick.
But he's a very acclaimed director who well, we'll talk about it, but he did 35 credits, it looks like here. So.
The things that stick out to me from the bottom here, DC Cab, obviously Cliff's pick, Mr. T.
I love that. Used to be on... Well, was that on HBO or was that on late night television? Which one was that? DC Follies, I think, was on the late
DC
night.
Cab's a movie.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. Mr.
Was
T.
Mr.
Yes.
T?
Yeah.
Come on. Got, I mean, a few minor movies you've heard of, like Dying Young with Julia Roberts and Trespass, Bad Company, Tigerland. The Client, I remember The Client with Tommy Lee Jones. Was that, wasn't that a Grisham movie, I think? Yeah. Flatliners.
Flatline.
They're getting smaller. He's dying.
Brain death. Now it's real.
Start filming. Let me defib him. He's dead. Isn't that enough? Let me try and bring him back.
Just watch the door. Excuse me. I don't want to ruin anybody's evening, but are we in the room with the dead man?
Oh my God.
1 minute to go.
What?
Start filming.
Making bacon. That was but like he did weird things with that. Flatliners was like, I remember it being so weirdly lit. Like he was like, okay, I'm putting lights on the floor. I'm putting, you know, this scene's gonna look great because the lights are not on the ceiling, they're on the floor. Nobody's gonna say anything about it. But I'm gonna make this look cool. 23, that movie with Jim Carrey that was really weird. Number 23 or whatever I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
A Time to Kill. It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Good movie. Yeah, I like that movie.
Phone Booth. Colin Farrell. Falling Down. Michael Douglas. It's a big one. The Lost Boys.
Michael and Sam have just moved to Santa Carla, California. They're about to discover its secret.
Notice anything unusual about Santa Carla yet?
No. It's a pretty cool place. If you're a Martian.
Or a vampire.
Brother Sammy, help me!
Stay back! Stay back!
What's happening to me, Star?
Get yourself a good sharp steak. Drive it right through his heart.
You're a vampire, Michael. My own brother, a damn blood-sucking vampire.
Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy. When a vampire bites it, it's never a pretty sight.
Michael, they're coming! Oh, shit!
That's it right
Huge. There. I knew. Yeah, I kind of felt when I saw that it was probably yours. Then we got, of course, Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, which like I said, are coming back around. People hated them, loved them, then hated them once they had a little age on them, and now they're coming back around as a period piece.
It's a weird thing. Like
he put the camp back. I know why you don't like it. He all the work they've done to take the campiness out of Batman, he shoved it back in.
But it's like a faulty argument, though. Like, at that time, Tim Burton's movies, like, oh, they're so serious. They're so dark. It's like, you look at them now, they're like cartoons.
Yeah.
They are campy. They are over the top and crazy. You know, Schumacher did a whole different thing, but, like, you can't say, well, Schumacher, he took the reins off and went a little too far. You know, Tim Burton was way out there. But, yeah, Schumacher added a knowing sort of wink, lots of neon colors and the famous nipples on the costume. And, like, he added that sort of, you know, like, I'm doing this, I'm going this far. You know, somebody try and stop me.
So, do you have a vote?
This is the kind of thing we talk about all the time on a one job. There's a whole bunch of credits on here. I was like, oh yeah, that. Like, there's a lot of really good movies on this list.
Right. I'm gonna say, because I haven't even said mine yet. Mine is the only movie of Joel Schumacher's that is in my top 100.
Is it from 1985 and have a catchy tune?
No.
Oh, it's not St. Elmo's Fire?
No. But I did.
Is it Nicolas Cage?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah. 8 millimeter.
Like, a lot of really solid movies, a lot of very different sorts of movies. Like I said, that Tigerland was really excellent, small little indie movie about boot camp and, like, you know, an army, a young recruit being, you know, going through boot camp, and it's like it's a total 180 from a Batman type movie. But yeah, for me, Lost Boys would be by a pretty long margin.
Yeah. Well, I'm edging that out by about 8 millimeters. It's 8 millimeter. Nicolas Cage, Joaquin Phoenix. That's the connection there between Kelly Preston and Joel Schumacher. Joaquin Phoenix in Space Camp and 8 millimeter. James Gandolfini and La Machine scared the heck out of me.
Ugh.
It's like a just dark, gritty snuff film thing, and so good. He's a detective looking for. Well, they don't. It's not really a snuff film, Cliff. It's a movie about a guy
There was a guy in a
trying
rubber
to find
suit.
a killer.
And Lost Boys, there's no real vampires in Lost Boys either. So
what?
Lost Boys
I knew
is
I'd
great.
be outvoted.
It's a great piece of 80s.
Yes.
You know, the fashion, the music,
the Corys,
saxophone playing, the Corys, yeah.
Martika.
It is just, yeah, you can just pull it. It's an artifact of the 80s.
I would say a lot of people of our age, that was really where we learned the rules of vampires. This is
I would agree.
This is how we knew how to deal with a vampire that showed up.
Thanks to the Frog Brothers.
Yes.
Worked in their comic book store. They had a whole bunch of vampire comics.
That's true.
Well, I would say we did it. We, in the annals of history, forever, Kelly Preston will be inducted for Space Camp, for her role in Space Camp, which I don't know. And
Tish. She was Tish.
Tish. She will forever be Tish, the ditzy, great memory girl.
Don't forget.
And
it's really a
Joel
drag
Schumacher
sometimes because stuff gets stuck in there and then just
And Joel Schumacher will be known forever for The Lost Boys. I feel good about both of those as Ka-Pow picks. Okay, we got 5 minutes left, so I'm going to spoil not the whole game, The Last of Us 2, but I'm going to spoil a twist in it.
Well, most of the people on my friends list finished this game, that first week it came out. So I'm sure a lot of people are already done with it. But yeah, I'm sure there's people out there who don't want to be spoiled. So if you don't want to be spoiled, we will see you next episode. But everyone else stick around for a few more minutes.
Yeah. So we don't want to hear any crying if you get spoiled about this game. But I'm not going into every detail. I'm just going a few more thoughts on the game and what they did to expand upon here what the what we were discussing earlier. So, spoilers for The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2. And in the original Last of Us, there's characters Joel and Ellie. He has given this girl to take as there's zombies in that game. There are zombies, and they need a there's no cure. Well, they find out
spoilers are coming fast and furious.
That's what I'm saying. This girl is immune. She gets bit and she's fine. Ellie's fine. So they're taking her to this group called the Fireflies to try to develop some sort of cure. And when they finally get there at the end of the game, this is your last warning, spoilers. Joel realizes that, he wants to go talk to her. He's been separated from her, and he wants to go talk to her, and finds out that she will die in this procedure. And he flips out. He had lost his whole family, this girl was put in his care, and he makes the decision to get her out of there, and they fight him on it, and he ends up having to kill all these people to get her out of there. So that's basically in the game, and he lies to her later at the very end that they had other people that were immune also, and that they couldn't figure it out, and basically just lied to her. Well, in this game, shortly into basically, see, 4 years have passed, and she has found this out. There's a lot of flashbacks throughout the game, but she has found this out, and they have not been talking. And at the beginning of this game, it is basically they are now just starting to be able to have a relationship again, and she's kind of forgiving him for what because in this world where it's so hard to even have a purpose, she feels like she's missed hers. But anyway, very shortly in this game, some people show up to get revenge against him, and they kill Joel, and right in front of her, and it's a very devastating moment to her, but it's you're seeing how these people feel about it, and that whole first half of the game is her revenge against them, her looking for them and trying to get her revenge against this person that killed Joel. And when you finally get to the climax to face off with this character, they stop right then, and you start back over the 4 days you've just played, and now you are the girl that killed Joel. And you begin playing as her in the group that she is in, and you start meeting all of her friends and the community that she lives in, and you meet everybody basically that you just killed for 20 hours, and you see their lives, and you see like a dog that you randomly killed, one of their attack dogs, and it's just their pet, and stuff. It's so like a different perspective, because you're always the hero in your own story, and now who was the enemy is now, you totally see their perspective, and you play through basically the whole game again in a different, building up to that climax again as this character. And honestly, this is the main character of the game. It's not Ellie. And it really feels like that. She's so much more relatable, where Ellie is just bent on vengeance. When you only know violence in your life, you only deal in violence. And this person is not quite as they're both just bent on revenge, but it's just a totally different perspective and how they deal with the people they're with and things. It's great. Where you might be fighting against a sniper or something after who that sniper is, because it was your friend in the first part of the game. It's great. And I won't spoil the total ending or anything, but it goes on even beyond that into a whole big part. It is a long game.
Is there going to be a part 3?
I would not foresee one. But I wouldn't rule it out. They could go even further, but it's just like these people have been through everything. I don't know if they could put these characters through anymore.
And I assume it's in production somewhere to be a movie or a Netflix show.
The Last of Us has been for the last year in production. Be I think an HBO show, I believe. So.
So we just spoiled your future HBO show for you.
Hey, if you stuck around, you were warned. It was amazing. It was, it was great. It had a great cast. Jeffrey Wright from Westworld was in it. Ashley Johnson, Laura Bailey, Troy Baker, all premier voice actors. Shannon Woodward from Westworld was in it as a important character. They didn't mess around. They've spent many years making this. That's where sometimes I'm like, you have a great idea for a video game, and I'm just like, I always think, well, I can come up with an idea like that, but I think it takes a long time to make these, sometimes longer than it would take to make a movie. So, and hundreds and hundreds of people.
It only takes mere minutes to make a podcast, which is what we do often. We'll see you next time. My name is Jordan Love.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
We still had 30 seconds.
Zoom ain't free, folks. We got to move it along. We're going to get zoomed out of here.
All right. Bye forever, then.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udownwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share.